Number 20, we want to factor x squared minus 18xy plus 45y squared. Okay. What are we going to do? Well, the way that you tackle these problems is you look at these two coefficients here, negative 18 and 45. And what I need to do is I need to figure out, okay, what two numbers, when I multiply them together, give me 45, but when I add them together, give me a negative 18. And so really, the one that you're focusing on is this one up here, the 45. And you just think of, okay, two numbers that when you multiply them together give you 45. And the first two numbers that come to my mind are 9 and 5. Okay, so here's a 9, here's a 5. Now, they multiply together to give me 45, but do they add to negative 18? And the answer is no. They add to positive 14, so both of these are going to have to be negative. I mean, that, hopefully you can see that, because negative 9 times negative 5 is still positive 45, but when I add them together, it'll give me a negative number, but it won't give me negative 18. When I add negative 9 to negative 5, I get negative 14, not negative 18. So there's these two are not going to work. This is not going to, it's not going to help me. So you just start over. It's not a big deal. Here's another crack at it. So I've got 45 minus 18. Okay, the next two numbers I think of that multiply together to give me 45 would be 15 and 3. I've got 15 and I've got 3. Okay, so I multiply those together, I get 45. I add them together, I get a positive 18. How can I get a negative 18 but still get a positive 45? And the answer is I make them both negative. Okay, so now I'm really close to being finished with this problem. I've got my two numbers. It's going to be negative 15 and negative 3. So now I just need to write out, so I'm going to factor this into two binomials, right? And because this middle term has an xy and this last term has a y squared, I'm going to need both x and y. So I'll start with just x by itself. But then I'm going to need a minus 15, and I'm going to need a minus 15y, so we get that y term both in this middle term here and the y squared in the last term. So I do minus 15y. Okay, and then I've got x minus 3y. And as always, if you wanted to, you could FOIL that, and what you would find is if you FOILed that, you would get back up to this original trinomial, which is what we want. So we've done the problem correctly. Okay. Down here's problem 24. Now this just has y's, so that maybe makes it a little bit less complicated, but notice they haven't written the trinomial in descending order. We want to put it in descending order just to make it a little less confusing, I think, anyway. So I got y squared minus 26y plus 48. I think it's better to write it in descending order like that. Okay. So now we're dealing with the same thing we did in the last problem. I've got 48 and 26. Okay. I'm going to need two numbers that when I multiply them together give me 48. When I add them together give me 26. And the numbers are going to have to be kind of big. Like, I can think about 6 and 8, right? Multiply those together you get 48, but they're not, there's no way I'm going to get 26 out of that. So what if I just do 24 and 2? Well, look at that. 24 times 2 is 48, and 24 plus 2 is 26. So I've got it right there, and I don't have to do anything with the signs because both of these numbers are positive. If both of these numbers are positive, then both these ones are going to end up being positive. Oh, you know what? I just noticed it's supposed to be a negative 26. I've messed up. Hold on. I did a bad thing. Okay, so I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board now. Are these two numbers going to work? Well, they will still work because I'm going to have to do with this problem what I did with the last problem. Sorry about that. So if this is a minus 26, then both of these are going to need to be negative, and that's going to fix the problem. So it's actually just like the problem we previously did. If I add negative 24 to negative 2, I'll get a negative 26, which is what I want. Sorry about that. I hope it wasn't too confusing. Okay, so what we want then is a y minus 24, right, times a y minus 2. And that's going to give me the answer that I need.